Hi everyone, I'm Abraham Diaz,
My name is Valeria Romero.
and the book that we read is The Only Road, or in
O
Spanish.
El Unico Destino by Alexandra Diaz.
So a little bit about the story is it discusses the journey of Angela and Jaime, who are from Guatemala, and the idea is that their journey is to reach the destination of going to the United States, where they have Jaime's older brother, Tomas. Um, and the reason why they embarked this journey is due to um, some of the things that are happening currently in their town. There is a gang that is controlling the town, trying to reach anyone that they can. In this case, they're even reaching out to children. Um, but unfortunately, due to a family death, the parents realize that they want a better future for their children. So um, they decide that um, Jaime, who's the one telling the story, and his cousin Angela um, try to send them to the United States. So throughout the story, it talks about their journey, new people that they meet, people who know what they are trying to do, and how they help them. So along the way, they tell their perspective on the people that helped them. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, Valeria.
No, because as I told you before, I don't want to give any spoilers. I
Yes.
think it's a good book. It's very interesting. So I don't want to say much
Yeah.
about the book.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just so everyone knows, I read the book in English and Valeria read it in Spanish.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
so there's a lot of difference or a lot of things that we both notice through both versions that we'll talk about later. But Valeria is going to start with the themes that she noticed in the book.
Yeah. Well, the first one that I would like to start with is the importance of the background. Um, so I think it's very important for us to acknowledge that not everybody that comes from Central America or South America have the same story. Not everybody goes through the same thing. Um, but also it's very important to know, like to get to know your students and get to know what they have been through, because I feel that way you could understand and provide materials and supports that are like unique and needed by them. We have read it in different like authors through the curse, like Soltero, right? Like the background is very, very important. And also having in mind that not all the kids that get here have like the same level of academy. Um, some might have not been in school that much time for that longer. So it is very important to have that, keep that in mind. The second theme that I noticed was like the fear to move by yourself to a new place or the fear to leave what you know. Uh, and this has to be with go to a place where the language that you speak is not the language there. So having to learn a new language and being nervous about if you are going to be able to communicate or not. Also, we were talking with Abraham about this before, but the thing about leaving your family and the places you know and your friends and things that can be very hard for kids. Well, I will say for people in general, but for kids, like if for grown-ups it's difficult, imagine for kids, like terrible. um Another thing that I noticed is the fact that they move in with close family but not with the parents, which I think it can be like very hard because they're still kids, they're still children, they need their parents, but they're just gonna be in a completely new place without like that support, without that I don't know, like that structure. So I think that's very, very hard too. And the other one, it will be like moving. moving to that place with the hope that things will be better there, because I'm trying to escape from something that is happening in my country. So I want something better, as Avram told you guys before. They want a better future. Well, their parents want a better future for them, so they think that's the best option, just to move them to the States. And yeah, I think that's it.
Um, and then for me, I had similar themes too, but just to add on, some of the other themes that I noticed was the idea of stress and motivation in the book. It started off with um, Jaime, he was stressed because of um, just of a family tragedy, and what the gang were going to do with his family. So, right off the bat, it starts off with how stressful it is to live in this environment that they're in. Um, and then moving forward, the parents having to live through that stress as well. Um, trying to make the decision whether or not they should send um, Jaime and their cousin Angela through this journey. Um, so, all those decision making and, the idea of leaving family behind or having family kind of go through the unknown is just very stressful. Um, and then the journey that they embark as well, which leads to that like motivational, demotivational factors. Just along the way, they're like, again, we're motivated, like, there's going to be things better for us once we reach that United States land. Um, but then, along the way, they get demotivated. They're just like, maybe it's not worth it. Maybe we should just go back. Um, and, some of those things did reflect on some experiences that I've heard from students. Um, like Valeria had just mentioned, like this isn't, a journey that all have gone through, but in some ways there are some aspects that does resonate with some of these students. The idea of why they fled their country, perhaps, or why they had to leave. Um, and just throughout the journey that to get here, um, a lot of them, a lot of the students that I've worked with or have connected with have said, like, why am I actually here? Or was this even worth it? So the book discusses that quite a bit through Jaime's perspective. And the other theme that I noticed was just the idea of family. In our culture, we're in a very tightly knit community. Like we just are always
Mhm.
together. Um, we try to stay together as long as possible. Um,
Mhm.
but Jaime and Angela had to leave. So that also they just didn't know how to deal with that. Their parents deciding for them, and then Jaime having to think, I'm leaving my parents behind. Um, but on the other hand, um, if they were to reach the United States, they would have a family member here or there. So, just that family aspect. And, along the way, Jaime and Angela are always together, um, always fearing that they would get separated. Um,
Mhm.
Not trying to give any spoilers, but at some point they do. Um, but they come back together. And they again having that fear that they'll get separated again along the journey. So the idea of family as well. um but yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you
Oh,
want
you said something before that you
to
didn't bring up in or this conversation, but you said something about when they changed their accent, like they're from Guatemala, and then when they go to Mexico, they are trying not to get trapped by the migra, so they say
oh
like, "Oh no, I'm from Veracruz." So go
yeah.
ahead.
So one of the things that I found interesting is and I forgot to mention this as a kind of a theme too, the adaptability that kids have is just it's amazing. In the book it discusses how Angela, just through watching TV, she's able to pick up a lot of the mannerisms or the form that we speak, um, just through watching a television show. And so, when they were starting, when they were crossing to the Guatemalan Mexico border, um, they reach that first date and they get on a bus. And one of the first things that a lot of people do once reaching that first date is that the Mira comes into the bus, checks for papers. Um, but when it was Jaime's and Angela's turn, um, Angela's form, her accent changed to match either that state's or another state's accent. In this case, she used a accent from Veracruz. Um, and so she was able to pick up some of the things. Um, even Jaime was so impressed. Um, but it to me it's just amazing how kids are able to do that. I know personally I wouldn't be able to. And even they sorry, I lost my train of thought. But Angela was able to do it just from what she had learned. So that adaptability um, to change her accent was really astonishing for me. Um, and then I'm not going to ruin it any more because I don't want to tell you what happens next. But that
Yeah,
was
no,
one
no
of the
more
things.
spoilers.
But that was one of the things I noticed.
Yeah, and as I told him before, like I feel that's like going in that survivor mode, like they don't want to get busted, so they try to do everything they can, uh, everything there is in their hands to not to uh get spotted, like, oh, you're from Guatemala, you're not from here, what are you doing here? So yeah, I thought that was important to add.
Yeah. So, um, anything else you wanted to add? I know you had
No.
mentioned the one of the questions you had.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, we already discussed this, but one of the questions I had was I was wondering if there is like any supports for these kids that go through traumatic things when they're coming or before they come here. Are there any supports that as a community or schools or whatever they're in, we can help them to go through all those things when they come here? So yeah, Abraham, give me an answer. So
Yeah. I talked about how, like in my school district that I work for, one of the things we provide is a family liaison. And essentially, they are like the partnership between families and the school. But one of the main focuses is the newcomers. Um, a lot of them are from the Latin countries, but we do have some from other countries, whether it be, um, country like Arab countries or islander or, you know, students from the islands. But the idea is to connect them with the resources and the people that they need so that they can, you know, be better established and able to um, kind of ease into a new environment. So that was one of the things we do provide, and essentially that liaison will connect them with either their counselor, a, you know, a psychologist, sorry, um, or use external resources like a therapist as well. And I think you had mentioned also that you had something similar, right, Valeria?
yeah, we do have a home liaison too, but as I told you before, like I don't know much about it, so
Hmm.
I didn't know exactly um what was going on there. And now listening to you talk, like, do you think we do, like as a teachers or as a school staff, we do like a good job like letting these kids know they have all these supports? I don't know. That's hard.
I
Like I work at the school and I don't even like I don't even know. Like I feel like I have to do some research and have the information because sometimes that's important, you know? Sometimes,
yeah
and I don't feel like kids not all the kids are gonna say like, you know what, I need this. Help me
Hmm.
with this because I want this information. So um yeah, I think we have to do a better job. Well, at least myself.
Yeah. I don't know because like I'm not really familiar with the whole process. Like for example, when they enroll, um, do they automatically tell them like, hey, these are the resources for you? Um, you know, as you
Mhm.
know, their first day, like they know like, oh, I need to talk to this person. Or do they wait until like that first day or that first week that they're here? Um, that's a really good question. Um, and I think as teachers or even staff in general, like like you think we should know about this, like know the process of like how
100%. 100%, but I don't know because I like the things I know is because I have been asking because like a student asked me something and I didn't know the information, so I had to go and ask somebody else. Um, but I don't know if like as a school, like as a group, we should do like a better job in like keep ourselves as like a group informed about things we can do for the kids in general. Oh, I mean, I know we're talking about EV learners, but in general, it will be good to know, you know, like
yeah.
I haven't been that long here in the States and I haven't been working in a school that long either.
Hmm.
So everything was very new to me and I didn't know much. And the things I know is because I have been like somebody have asked me something and I don't know the answer, so I go and ask somebody else. Um, but I think it will be good just to know that information so we can be that resource for them. Like even if they're not asking for a support or anything, we can tell them like, you know what, like you can have access to this, you can have access to that. Like if someday you need something, you can talk to this person. You know, I think that will be important.
Do you do you think teachers like whether it be a few, some, or most of the teachers know about the resources that exist for like our emergent bilinguals or for our students in general?
Hmm, I don't know. I will say a few, but I don't know. I don't wanna judge them. Like
Yeah,
I have never like go and talk to them and say like, oh, you know, well, we can, you know, like so I don't really even know if that's something that they have thought about. Like, I don't know.
yeah. Like, is there, yeah. Like, do you think, um, some schools are really are trying to involve like equity and inclusion into the work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you think that that's where this would fall under, or like, do you think when we have those meetings, like this is where we should be talking about these resources and seeing what more we can,
100%.
yeah.
100%. 100% because we never know where like who the kids are gonna like click with. Like
Hmm.
it could be with the science teacher, like I don't know.
Right.
And it is important, like I'm sure if a kid like approaches a teacher and says like I need this or this is happening,
Yeah.
and if they don't know the answer, I'm sure they will find out. But it will be nice just to have the information, like, you know, like just there available for them and like just being open about it. I think that's important. But I
Yeah.
don't know, I don't feel, I don't feel in most of the cases that's what is happening. Like I don't think everybody's informed about it, and I
Hmm.
think we should.
Yeah. And it's like it can just be as simple as just like our district has like a food box program. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just as simple as that, like, providing
Yep,
like knowing more about like that resource of, food box.
exactly. Like if you're hungry, you can go there. You know, like,
Hmm.
and sometimes we do have those systems, but we do not know about them.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think it is important to be informed, just to like share the information with the kids and the
Yeah.
families and. everybody that needs them.
Yeah. Um, Kind of transitioning to something kind of different. Um, I think when we talk about like mental health, um, and I forgot to bring this up too, but like the idea of mental health for these students, you know, they go through a lot of stress,
Yep.
through a lot of trauma. Um, and kind of like what you were saying, like, do we know if do we know if these students know, hopefully that made sense, that there's these resources for them, like right off the bat. Um, and you know, in the book, it discusses, you know, a lot of like a loss, right? Jaime loses that family member that he really loved as a brother. Um, and throughout the journey, like he 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 talks about him as like the person that's taking care of him through the journey, to the fact that he asked himself, did did this person die because of me? Um, and I know, you know, a lot. I know if you know, I know some experiences from stories I've heard. A lot of people feel the same way. It's like, you know, was this caused because of me? And I think one of the things that we really should focus on for these students is their mental health. You know,
For sure.
helping, trying to really help them as much as possible. Um, you know, they go through loss, they go through traumatic experiences along the way. So when they get here, you know, we're automatically telling them, oh, you got to go to school. Um,
You gotta learn all
you
this.
gotta, yep, you gotta learn English. Um,
Yeah, you better know English so you
yeah,
can pass your classes.
yeah. So, you know, that's one of the things that I think, at least personally, like, um, I need to start thinking about more and more is like, you know, like, is a student not succeeding because, you know, there's something on their mind? Um, you know, even if they're, you know, already talking to someone, like, but it still could, you know, something could trigger that memory or that experience could be brought up time to time. Um,
Yeah, no, for sure.
so, but yeah,
Yeah,
I just
I
wanted
think
to,
mental health is very, very important. And um again, like letting them know that they have those resources and they can get to them. That's gold right there.
yeah.
That's very important.
And that kind of alludes to like the question that I had is like, in the story they meet, you know, several people, um, but one of their friends, their name is Javi, kind of sticks with them more, um, to the fact where when they all get separated, um, I don't know how to say this without spoiling it again, but
But
just
it doesn't matter.
you know, they can't find Javi. Um, and so it's like, you know, they meet someone, you know, they become friends, um, and they just don't know what happens to that person. Um, Even when they cross, they're like, I don't know what happened. Like, what happened to this person?
Yeah.
Um,
It's like kind of the thing, like I already lose my family because I had to leave them back there in Guatemala, and now I'm losing my friend that just like I just met a couple days, weeks, but it means so much to me, and now I'm losing him.
mhm,
Is yep, yep, hard.
yeah. So yeah, a lot of a lot there to kind of ask. Um, and kind of wondering, it's like, you know, from our students' perspective, it's like, I don't know if you've connected, if you've kind of heard like your students' experiences about like people that they meet, um, and then once they cross, they don't know what happened to them. I don't know if you've ever heard
No,
stories like,
personally I haven't, but I'm sure there are a lot of stories like that, and yeah, it's hard.
yeah,
Like I already lose my family, and now I'm losing my friend. It's
yeah,
hard.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
So we don't have the premium version of Zoom, so we only have a few minutes. Um,
Oh,
but
but
did you
that's
want,
good
yeah.
because we're almost
Oh,
there.
did you
Okay,
want to talk
let's
about,
talk about the action plan.
yeah,
Oh, there you go. Okay, what do you think we should do? We could do.
you first. You
Okay.
first.
Okay, I think it's pretty similar.
Hmm.
We already talked about this.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to get to know our students better, to get to know their abilities, skills, likings, everything like that. And um, I was telling Avram the the sense of belonging for me is very important because they're already leaving their country, leaving their family, leaving their friends, leaving the things that they know, and I don't want like I wouldn't like to be here and feel like I don't belong. Like how we say in Spanish, un mosco en leche. I think it's very important for them to feel welcome, to feel that they belong here. Um, and also, as I said before, using materials that are connected to these kids and their background is very important just to um, engage them to their learning, but also make them feel important and loved and that they belong here.
Um, I 100% agree with everything Valeria just said. Um, but one other thing that I want to add is um, the action plan that I want to take is, um, you know, after getting to connect with my students and getting to know their experiences, um, one of the things that I want to do is, kind of think about like how can I make a culturally responsive classroom. So I was talking to Valeria, like, I've heard similar stories to the book. So being able to incorporate this literature into my classroom is what I would like to do. Being able to discuss with my students, these topics. They don't have to share through the whole classroom, but if they just wanted to connect, be able to build that trust in us as teachers. Um, so just providing like these examples, like having the only road be in our bookshelf, and I know there's a lot more, but being able to provide that this material to them, so that they have something they can connect with as well, in my classroom.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
cool.
Okay.